Hello and welcome to the Money Charts channel. It is Saturday, the 25th day of May 2019. My name is Derek. All bets trades and of the like. Well, that's within each's own risk and their own reward. Let's start off within the free coins that myself and maybe some others on this site also received from holding a theta way back when. As we're looking at, I got the Binance crossed. They got ones against I think the USDC as well as Bitcoin as well. My plan is to gain as many BNB, but the early volatility market comes up, goes to the 500 handle, down to 364, up to 577, down to 437. Massive volatility to start. Up to 711, down to 539, now it's 655. I'll be buying next at 517. That didn't hit here. I mean, I wish I would have 546 or something or 550. No, not having any of it. But it wasn't that close either. And I did have 717 as a missed sell order, but I've upped it a little bit to 733. I like right now after this move to the 18 average of highs at 5 p.m. Eastern, 1700 hours. It got up here, held it. Now starting. It looks like it's ready to take a break after this correctionary move from 10 a.m. ending at 7 p. or 1700 hours, or a 7-hour span. Let's move on next to Bitcoin against the U.S. dollar. And the daily time frame extremely low volatile today. It might have even been an inside day from a previous low volatile day. Yesterday's high came in at 81.75. Yep, and 77.94. Oh, by far a major inside day. In fact, the low yesterday or the previous day was almost 78. Today it was 79.41. So this would be the first time I would think that Bitcoin has held and stayed above 7,900 all day, going back to about a year ago almost now. As if I scroll back to, and it's just like a whatever kind of um, pointless to a degree. Point as 7,900. What was this day? I guess it would have been June 29th of last year. Would have been the last day it held and stayed above 7,900 all day. I'm going to fast forward this to current. It's going to zoom. Yeah. So anyway, that's all good and dandy, hanging in there. And this downtrend that I kind of was looking at, well, it's obviously broken. The lows on here, all the higher lows have been consistent. And the last one coming in at 75.02. To me, it does look ready and poised to have a breakout above it. 4-hour term time frame, extremely low volatile. The level of resistance at about 81.38 has been tested a few times. It has maintained from this low in here higher lows, and it's still doing so despite the fact that this last run was not able to break previous high. And this is the 4-hour time frame, just not doing much. It's really just a wait and see. But there's the holding above that a key level in there. And on the single-hour time frame, it is just stuck and firm within the sideways correctionary band from the last big move being the May 23rd low to the high at May 20. Well, the May 23rd rally has just been going sideways, and that's that. It's inside of this 18, leaving the 18 average on either side. The key resistance and support, resistance first at about 81.50 in this, and the support in here. And it does look as if this week is going to be that of a pause week. There's still another 23 plus hours to go until we head to the new week. Let's move on next to Litecoin, crossed against Bitcoin, and from this high near the 1.9% handle. After the first week of April, has been consistently going down. No attempt at all in breaking the bear market, thus staying below the 18 average of lows the entire time, highs rather, the entire, and having a lot of time below the 18 lows. And that's what bear markets do. Resist the high, spends a bit of time in the band, and spends a lot of time as well below it. Bear markets would do the opposite, support the lows, spend a little bit of time in the band, and a bunch of time above it too. Well, it got above the band on May the 24th. It was a pause day with a little bit of further extension today. as we are now starting a new day. This level of support, key Fibonacci, was hit 3 or 4 times, then broke down, resisted it a few times. Now it's back in there again. Really, really important to find a higher low if it's going to actually retrace. If it stays within this area, that's just holding in at the 18 highs. That's a strong setup moving forward. But the level I'll be looking for is the break of this. And after you had this move, which first came up near it on the at lunchtime on May the 24th, and then the nighttime it had a little bit of a break above, ended up pulling back to close to the 18 average of highs, and more importantly, in this case, just a small correction back to where it came from. But this previous period having a break above it, now just flirting within this key level of previous resistance again. And after this nice little break on yesterday morning, the price action continued to chug along really nice, going from the 113 handle up to about the 130, and has managed to really establish a big level of support in here. But it also looks like this correction move is over given how the 18 is acted. This move, green candle hour, ending at 6 p.m. Eastern time, a pause on the 7 hour, which is an interesting look because that little wick, that's like Bitcoin on the weekly, but it's following through nice, and this thing is live for significant gains, I think, moving forward. I really do like this setup continuing on. Let's move on to Gigabyte next. And it too is having major battles within a key Fibonacci level and showing a lot of strength. As we have completed now 4 days showing strength amongst the 18 average of highs as we move into the fifth one. As this was the previous test of this level that I had before after a very successful correction, and before that a very long and large decline where it spent pretty much all the time below the lows, and it did from the April 23rd breakdown to its lows, spending a little correctionary time in here as well, in here as well. And making these higher lows, matching highs, it has managed to barely pierce above it in the session for Saturday amongst the 4 hour term time frame. This is the barely pierce above, but it's a nice. It's barely a move above. For what it's worth, it's the fastest correction back to where it came from. But that's what it did. It's doing a lot, showing a lot of signs of that successful correction after this red candle. Four consecutive of these 4 hour periods. Well, three finalized, as the fourth one is just beginning 20 minutes into the session. A lot of strength amongst this 18 average of highs. Again, this is really looking raring to go. And given the Fibonacci level, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a relatively fast move that gets above the 256 handle. Bitcoin Cash, and apparently a 51% attack was done by themselves. I don't know if that was a test run or by the, I don't know if it's the, I don't know exactly all the technicals on how that works. But this market continues just to hang in within this correctionary phase, but it's losing some momentum as far as testing this level of resistance, as we can see on the 4 hour term time frame. How after this making this low, it's resisted in here, came down to the lows, and now for a few periods is showing some weakness. Thus, you can start to draw in downtrends. But as it goes again, it is still hanging in there, and yeah, a little bit of concern if you see weakness come from the 18 at the lows at this stage, but for what it's worth, it hasn't even touched it yet now. But definitely a concern area if you see weakness around the 477, 480 handle, that it could be in line to maybe even pierce a little bit below that low. And let's complete this with within theta, which very volatile market. That's what I'm looking for. You have situations like these fast moves here, give it all back. Fast move here over several days, give it all back. Buy low, sell high. That gives you volatility for opportunity within the volatility. And if you ever heard from profit from volatility, well, that means taking advantage of these moves when they come in, and so on and so forth. Within this is technical analysis in this large decline since the second week of March highs, thus a 2 week bear market going from over 5,000 to about 1,100. So how many stocks are you going to be fine? You go from a $50 stock down to $11 or something like that. Well, and that's just a small move, not like a move that happens over 4 years. No, not even a move that happens over 4 months, half that time. So within it, we have this rally in here, back to the 18 for several periods, this little failed breakout But when you see a failed breakout, you can be concerned all you want about it. But until you see weakness on the lows and starting to break below it, it remains in a neutral situation within the band. But it got it out of that situation within this last session. On the following day within it, the reason for this rally was because of the theta fuel being added to the market. When we look at this on a single hour term time frame, when we look at the point A low and the point B high, it successfully corrected it within the 18. It did go below it, but it held and stayed above it. It established a level of support at about 1484, but since lifting off on that point on the session yesterday at 8 p.m. or 24 hours ago, it has been making higher lows along the way. So you have this nice little move back to the band, and then a sustained rally, as in it took like 4 or 5 periods. A sustained pullback, as in it took like three. A sustained correction, as that was like what 7, 8 periods within the band. And then this one in here, you see, oh, it goes in it and back, sort of like the daily time frame was looking, and then follow through ahead back to where it came from. Lots of short-term volatility. That is most certainly the case in here, and definitely a lot of reason for me just seeing like, oh my, this red candle really doesn't look right. There's maybe concern short term that this thing is going to continue more range bound with support already been established, and again within the short term volatility. Uh, if you see situations where, okay, this looks bearish, and am I going to go short? The reason why I don't wouldn't do it here is, okay, I go short here, then it comes to the 18, okay, and then maybe it goes down a bit or nothing, then it goes to the 18 average of highs, and you get a failed breakdown, and whatever it does is what it's going to do. I mean, that more short term I go, that is just on nonsense. And as far as the daily is concerned, within this rising 18, and even the 18 close is not shown, I'm looking here at this like 1500 area as that nice little must hold area if there's going to be any more correctionary moves to the downside. And that will be it for this video. Have yourself a great night. Bye bye.